Welcome to Calm Your Crazy. I'm Kiana Lambert, and it is really early in the morning here. And honestly, I record these late at night because that's when I do most of my work. Well, they call it the God hours, right? I mean, all the successful people that I love from history, Einstein and Tesla, they kept late night hours. Even like my favorite writers and actors and directors, they all have this late night issue. So I don't feel so alone in that. But it is rather late, and I always sound like I'm about to go to sleep because I am. um, Honestly, I don't even know if anyone listens to this. I don't ever pay attention. I don't look at the numbers or obsess over it. I kind of just use this as my own sounding board and just give information and broadcast, and whoever hears it is going to be the one who needs it because it's frequency and vibration. And my frequency and vibration is going to attract exactly who needs to see it, hear it, because they're me. Everybody is you, me, or all consciousness having a human experience. So, I laugh at myself with that. I don't even know who's listening. I don't even look at, I will go on social media to answer comments, but I don't obsess about views or likes or anything like that because I'm like, it's frequency and vibration. So whatever happens, happens. And then there's also my nervous system that's involved too, because your nervous system will cut off your reality. And I don't mean it's like going to cut it off in any dramatic way, but it will keep you from manifesting what you want. It'll keep you from creating the reality you want because it's protecting you. So when I talk about the nervous system to people, I'm like, it literally creates your reality. Not just in the way that it keeps you from taking action because you're scared. It literally will keep things from happening to keep you safe. So if my social media blew up really fast, I would burn out my nervous system because it's happened before and I have. So I know that my nervous system is keeping this on a drip so that I'm not burned out and I'm not overwhelmed, because I got overwhelmed really before, and I can get overwhelmed easily. I have a lot of people who write me and ask for help, and in the beginning I took a lot of time to write them back, but it just became too emotionally taxing to do it, so I couldn't do it anymore. And I became a little defensive because when you are a people pleaser and you come from childhood trauma where your value is based on what other people think about you because that's how you were raised, it's really hard, especially when you don't want people to hurt like you were hurt. It's really hard to say no. And it was hard for me, and instead of feeling the feelings of uncomfortableness, I would automatically get angry because that was my defense mechanism. And anger is a cover emotion for feeling uncomfortable, for all the other stuff, because I'm feeling defensive over myself, right? And there were other reasons to be defensive as well. You know, I get a lot of people that don't consider that time is valuable and that, you know, I have a life. I still have to operate in this reality where money's a thing. And I wish I could have all the time in the world to just Sermon on the Mount it. You know what I mean? And when I say Sermon on the Mount, that's, you know, the Bible and the great Jeebus who is teaching on this Sermon on the Mount. But I can't do that because I really don't want to. And I have other things that I want to do. And it's a really emotionally taxing to take on people's trauma and drama, and it's not good for my nervous system. And I spent the first half of my life being a public servant and helping other people, at times to my own detriment, and I'm not in that place anymore. And a lot of people just assume and tell me I can help them and they need me to do it without even considering that my time has value. And why would I just like lean over and be like, yeah, stranger on the internet, let's get together. I'm gonna help you. I feel like I don't even know you. I have my life. I have things that I'm doing. And this is another thing to show you that we create our own reality. As soon as I started saying no, and I said out loud to myself, I am no longer available for this energy. I am no longer available for this energy. The requests trickled down to almost nothing, to where they didn't come in at all. And there's no difference between what I'm posting. There's no difference to where I'm posting it to. I'm doing everything the same. The only difference was that I commanded myself that I was not open for this energy anymore. And it stopped coming in. And I have so many people that were commenting on my looks, or that you have a filter. Yeah, I wear a filter because it looks great and it's what I look like. The fisheye lens makes me look like I have like this huge like rounded face. It doesn't even look like me. So I use a filter because it actually makes things flat and looks the right way. And I enjoy it. But anyway, I have so many people that come on to me too because of the way that I look and want to get with me. And I don't get it. I don't get the online stuff. Like, you're in Australia. How the fuck are you going to date me? And I'm not unappreciative. It just boggles my mind. And I've never been a person that, like, I'm a serial monogamist. You know, I was sexually assaulted a lot as a young person. And I have no interest in that. I never have. Like, I knew from the beginning, I saw how my mother derived her self-esteem from men, and I never, no thank you. In fact, I'll eat you for lunch and spit you out. That's really my energy. So a lot of that was coming in too, and I said, I'm no longer open to this energy. It was stressing me the fuck out. Excuse my French. Enchanté. But I didn't like it. It made me feel gross. So I said, I'm no longer open for this energy. And bada bing, bada boom, it stopped. It's so amazing how it stops. Like, oh, I love it. Whenever you start really playing with reality and you know that commanding yourself and your energy makes it stop, it's like candy. It's delicious. It's the one thing that I do to prove myself every day, that I continue to prove to myself every day that I'm the one creating everything. Because I can command something just like that and it will stop. And there's there's nobody out there. If reality wasn't a simulation that was not created by you, then people would still be coming into my DMs, asking me to date them, asking me for whatever, asking me for one-on-one, asking me for all kinds of stuff. But I can say out loud to myself, I'm not open to this energy anymore, and it stops. Did people just magically, deliciously stop wanting me? Did I magically, deliciously stop becoming attractive? No. I create everything. And I can tell it to stop. And I can tell it to start up again. And I can do whatever. So, you create reality, bottom line. Unless you don't believe it. Then you're still creating it. You just don't know it. And you're operating off subconscious programming. Which, honestly, that's the real Matrix, right? In the movie, there's the bad guy who's out of the Matrix and he wants to go back in. And he wants to like be set up with everything, money and all this stuff if he goes back in and betrays them, right? And there are some days that I feel that way. There are some days where I'm like, I know what this means. I know what that means. And, some days I just want to be completely oblivious and just go with the flow and just like go to work, be fine, come back, be fine, have your rigmarole, have your drama with your friends, like do all the things. Sometimes I want that because I literally cannot relate to people. I can't. I can't relate to anybody anymore. I have like one friend that I text occasionally. And I text her because it's simple. And I don't have to do anything but be simple. And so it's nice to just have a break. But this all is leading up to what I wanted to talk about tonight, which is, what do you do? What do you do when you are getting to this point of the simulation and you understand the science, you understand the spirituality, you've done all the rabbit hole ADHD digging you can, you've mapped everything in your body, your feelings, and you've seen the outcome, you've done the cause and effect, and then what do you do? Like, what do you do? And I wanted to talk about it because there is a Dr. Hoffman that works for Harvard, and his research is on that this is a simulation. His mathematics prove it. He's been working on it for a long time, since the 80s. And he says the math proves it. It's a simulation. When you look away, it's not there. When you look back, it's there because of the observer effect. And I've watched him over the years, and in the beginning, he was really excited about what he was finding. And then over time, as he started to realize more and more and more, his interviews were different. He started losing his excitement. And then I just watched him on Lex Friedman's podcast. And I don't know how old it is, but I posted it on one of my videos for my students. But I posted it on YouTube so that they would have a link and they could go watch it. And I didn't actually post it for anybody else. But he is very distraught in this interview. He's stuttering his words. He's saying he's having difficulty with it, extreme difficulty with knowing it's a simulation, being aware of that, and then also being inside of it and getting swept away in it, and with what he calls attachment to his life and the things in his life, and he'll get swept up in the game. And then he'll like have a realization and then pull himself back out and be like, oh, this is simulation. And he says he meditates 4 hours a day to wrap his mind around this. And so I thought, I just want to call the poor man and tell him what's up, But it's a journey, and everyone's on their journey, and they got to figure it out for themselves. And he'll figure it out. He's been doing it since the 80s. He's almost there. But I wanted to put it out there for other people who may not have the education and the accessibility that Dr. Hoffman has. Because what Dr. Hoffman is missing is that this is all part of an evolutionary cycle. And the only purpose to all this is to be able to hold polarity and to be able to manipulate energy. So what I mean by that is that the whole point of this is that you are able to say, okay, this is a simulation, and I'm also consciousness, having a human experience. And Dr. Hoffman talks about consciousness all the way, too. I love it. But we're consciousness having a human experience. And if we're the observer and we collapse the wave, then the only point to all of this is that we create the point. And we hold the polarity of that it's a game and it's also consciousness. And that it's not real. But it's part of the evolutionary cycle that we are going through as consciousness. And he talks about how he's correlating spirituality right now in a lot of theology with his work, like he's on his own personal time, like he's correlating the similarities. So he's well on his way to understanding all of this. But for everybody else that's stuck in where he is, kind of feeling like, what's the point to all this? That is the point. You create it. The point is you finding out, you holding that polarity, and then start manipulating energy and living the life you want. And when I was looking and researching back on different people that came to the same conclusion over history, they either died because they were killed for saying it, or they went and lived a hermetic life for the rest of their lives, or they went and lived a very simple life for the rest of their lives. And not that we have to do that. Everything is a choice. You don't have to go live a hermetic life. I know it's hard to be around people whenever you understand and they don't, but you don't have to live a hermetic life. These people lived a hermetic life because they didn't have access the way that we do today. And they didn't have the knowledge that we have today about their bodies, about everything else that we have today. So if you're feeling like, what's the point? There is no point other than finding out it's you creating everything and you choosing the next step of what you want to do. And then start playing with the manipulation of reality. And it's not as easy as that. Because if you have subconscious programming that has warped your brain into a certain way of thinking, guess what, bitches? You're going to have to rewire that shit, and it takes time. Unless you can just like bibbity bobbity boo, which is also possible. Anything's possible. There are no rules. But your brain, if you know the way the brain works, then you already have like this idea and set parameters around how it functions and how you're going to view things. And you can rewire. Your brain's neuroplastic, which means that it can change. But having to live every day holding what you know and then actively rewiring and coming up against these barriers that are in your brain, in yourself, coming up against these barriers that are your nervous system, which the brain is part of your nervous system, but I mean like the nervous system as far as the vagus nerve, where you feel the terror, you feel the anxiety, you feel all this stuff, and you're like, why am I feeling this? I know it's a simulation. Yeah, try telling that to your body. Your body doesn't know. That's why you have to connect your mind, body, and spirit. And that is the mountain. That is you. So I want to call Dr. Hoffman and explain, like, hey, it's you. You're going to have to learn this. You're going to have to do this. And that's the whole point. But he'll figure it out. Anyway. For those that need it, that's what I'm here for. I'm just this little outlier in the middle of nowhere, giving whoever's on this frequency the information that they need so that they can keep going. And I'm happy to do it. I don't want you to be sad and despondent because you're like, what's the point? Because we're conditioned on real and what's real and what's not real. You being fake, you being real. And so when we're trying to hold polarity of like fake and real at the same time, it can be hard. And when you realize like nothing really is real, and you kind of get into this space of what's the point. And I got into that space, then I was in that space for a little bit. I was excited in the beginning, and then I got despondent for a little bit. Until I realized that the only purpose is there is no purpose. You just play the game the way that you want to play. And people that tell you that there's predestination and all this other stuff, that may be true for them, but it doesn't have to be true for you. And if you think about how all possibilities are in the quantum field and every choice you make shifts you to a different reality, constantly based on your decisions. Then it kind of seems like everything's predestination. So it's hard to wrap your mind around, but you really just have to start living with intention. What do you want to do? And what you might want to consider is playing with it. Seeing what you can command, seeing what you can control, seeing what beliefs are holding you back, seeing what fears are holding you back, working with your nervous system to override it and take action anyway. Working with your nervous system, because your nervous system will actually keep reality from forming for you. So you got to play with it and you got to work with it. And it's kind of like a little feeling game where you feel it out. And so your existence becomes totally different afterwards. You start to experiment with what you want to live with or what you want to create, and you start moving forward. And that takes up most of your time until you're gone. And guess what? That's no different than anybody else living, except they're doing it unconsciously. But they're still going for their dreams. They're still walking towards something that they want, even if it's just a shopping trip at the mall. They're still going. Still driving the car, still making the decisions, still shopping online. They're doing everything that they want to do. They're just doing it unconsciously, and there's nothing wrong with it. So if you're in the position where you're awake, you know how it works, you figured it all out, well, congratulations. What do you want to do now? And this is what I talk about when I do social media. Like, what is it that you want to do? Do you want to be a singer? Do you want to be an actor? Do you want to be a pilot? Do you want to do it all? Do you want to fight in the fray of what's going on? Because all that's a story arc, all this is evolution of mankind till we get to a type 1 civilization. We're on our way. And we're nowhere near close, but we're getting there. And this has to happen in order for that to happen. You know why? Because nature comes into balance. And when humanity comes into balance, things are more equal. And right now they're not equal. So in order for them to become equal, some things have to fail. Some things have to fall. People have to see the truth. And then balance will come into being. So what do you want to do? Like, there's every single storyline is out there. You could go and decide you wanted to work for the mafia. I am pretty sure that as soon as you set your mind to it, you could find somebody out there and become like one of the good old boys or whatever. I don't know. I don't watch the gangster shows. But you could do that. I talked about it in a couple episodes ago, but one person has aliens following him. Come on now. Aliens. That's what he's creating. Now, he's doing it, unconsciously. He's very paranoid about it. But you could actually make aliens follow you and then know exactly what you were doing. If you believed in it, if you wanted it enough, like, every single possibility is out there. And you can see it in people and what they're doing. So what do you want to go do? What's going to be the most fun for you? What's going to be the most purposeful for you? Because purpose is what drives us, and that's what we want to do. That's what we want to feel. But you don't necessarily have to have purpose. You can manifest whatever you want and then go live on a beach somewhere, if that's what you want. You can get fat and die if you wanted to. There's no rules. It's fine. All of it's good to go. So that's tonight's episode. If you've gotten to the despondent place, know that it gets better, but you got to choose it. It's free will. It's a choice. You can choose happiness. You can choose anger. You can choose sadness. You can choose to look at it any way you want to. It's never ending. Every single choice is out there. Every single possibility exists. And if I were you, I would start with just wrapping my brain around what you could do, how you can do it, why you're thinking the way you're thinking, what feelings in your body come up when you do different things, and what it all means. Start paying attention. And then when you see the pattern and you see the connections, don't doubt yourself. Nobody else is in your mind. Nobody else is in your heart but you. You don't have to share it with every Tom, Dick, and Harry. We do that, because humans need validation because we mirror each other. People are talking about how bad it is to be validated. That's how we know we're real. That's how we move through life, is getting validation externally and having other people mirror us so that we're not alone. So it's completely normal to want to be validated outside yourself, but you don't need it. And certainly no one's going to understand it unless you can parse it out in a way that is understandable. So you kind of have to dumb down your knowledge a little bit if you're going to share it. You have to dumb down the way that, and I don't mean dumb in a derogatory way, I mean you're going to have to change your vocabulary. And you're going to have to be able to explain it in a way that is in someone else's language that doesn't speak your language. So I guess dumb down is the wrong word, or the wrong phrase. Nobody's dumb. Nobody's dumb. Everybody's you having their own experience, and nobody's dumb. They're just subconsciously programmed with limited information. And that leads me to another thing too, just a little side hustle thing for the end of the episode. But somebody asked me about NPCs, non-player computer, whatever they're called. And it's not that anyone is an NPC. It's just that they're running on subconscious programming and they don't have any idea of what reality is outside of their programming. And a lot of people think that becoming awakened is seeing through the BS of life and the made up taxes and the laws and the rules and all that get made up by society. And that is one level of awakening. But this is the cherry on top. This is for the big players. And your brain's got to be a certain type to get it. And I know that everyone's getting there. And I'm excited about it. I put it out there for the people that are getting it. And this is not to say that anyone is better than anyone else. They're literally all you. And every single experience and information that they get goes into the quantum field. It comes from there. You have access to it too. So everything that they experience, you experience by proxy. And you have access to it. You can use it. Say it out loud to yourself. I told this to my students the other day. But whenever I was young, I was playing on my keyboard. We had this keyboard that came with like a computer program to teach you how to play piano. But it only taught you like the basics, which was the keyboard and what keys they were and what they sounded like if you pushed them together. And so I started learning to play by ear. And I was stuck on the very last part of Fur Elise. And I just couldn't get it. I would listen to it over and over and over again and then try to play it, and it wouldn't come out. That ending just wouldn't come out. So I said out loud, I call on the spirit of Beethoven to help me finish this. I had chills all over my body. I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Saying this out loud. I was a kid. I didn't know any better. I've always been awakened to a point since I was young. You can't go through a lot of trauma when you're little and not be awakened. But I finished the piece immediately. Like right after I said that, immediately I finished the piece, Beethoven's Fur Elise. And so this is why I encourage my students and everybody that I talk to say things to themselves out loud, speak out loud, tell yourself what you want to know, and ask yourself questions, command yourself, rewire your brain and your body out loud, because your body is listening. Your cells are listening. Your brain vibrates to the sound of your own voice. So say it out loud. One of my students asked, do I say this out loud in public? And I didn't realize she was asking about it, about in public at first. She was like, do I say this stuff out loud? I was like, yes, you say it out loud. Then she's like, because that's really weird. If somebody triggers me in public and I just start talking to myself, that's going to look really weird. And we all started laughing. And I was like, yes, that is going to be weird. Say it in your mind if you're in public. You know, this is why it's called Calm You're Crazy, because everybody is going to think you're crazy if you start talking that way out loud. So no, if you're in public, don't say it out loud. But yes, otherwise, talk to yourself. Say it out loud. Command yourself. And that being said about predestination, I'm pretty sure that the life path I chose before now, if there was... Because you have, like, if you wanted to believe that you had predestination, you could have predestination. And there are a lot of things that are very specific to me that make me feel like, well, I could have signed up for something. But if that's the case, and I've pondered on this quite a bit, but as you evolve, everything's a circle. It's recursive. Recursive means it folds back on itself. Everything's a circle, and so it all comes full circle eventually. So we have already evolved several times. Humanity has evolved. And then they come back down to this dimension because everything is separated by dimension. When you evolve past a certain point, you go up into a dimension and you're vibrating at a different frequency, you're no longer seen here because you're vibrating at a different frequency. You're in another dimension. Everything's right here on top of each other, science, but you can't see it because it's vibrating at a different rate. So it is very possible that humans were seeded on the planet and then they come back, and they meaning other humans that have evolved past into other dimensions come back and mess with it, you know, mess with the simulation, mess with humans so that they can sort of petri dish our evolution while still maintaining the dish itself. And so it's very possible that a lot of us were seeded here as reincarnated folks to raise the frequency with our own frequency that we came in the body with. And I know this sounds crazy, hence the name of the show. But it's all based on science and what I know of science and how I map it together. It's not, people are like, oh, thank you for your downloads. And it's not really a download. It's me reading. In the beginning, it was downloads, all about math and science. But now it's not. It's me knowing how things work and piecing it together as it comes in. So I was talking to my son tonight and I was talking about how, I was like, I haven't really pieced out how DNA works in the, oh, and then I was like, oh, because as soon as I said it, it came to me like that. But the information that I had about DNA and working with the quantum was stuff that I read in science articles. But piecing it together on how it works together came to me immediately, just then. Because of all the information that I already read and had. It's like pieces together with me for a puzzle. So when I talk about dimensions, it's science-based. When I talk about the evolution of humanity, it's based on science. Because they found a photon, right? They didn't find a photon, everything's photon. But they were doing research and experimenting with a photon, and they found 48 dimensions inside this photon. So I know that everything is light and everything is the same photon. Why? Quantum tunneling, quantum entanglement. And when they've tried to measure it, they can't. It's the observer effect, and it absolutely collapses into matter, right? So a photon, if it's the same photon, like they say in science that it is, and it's the same one vibrating at a different rate and time so that we can see and create everything that we see in our electromagnetic field, then that photon has to have the information in it of everything that it's going to create. So if there are 48 dimensions in the photon, then there are only 48 dimensions where light exists. And there are only 48 evolutions of humankind so far. Yep. And the reason I know of humankind so far is because the scientists who observed it and made the research and experiment are human, and they observed it. We didn't have an alien observing it, no. We had a human observing the photon with 48 dimensions in it. So, it's 48 dimensions where humans exist, or we've evolved into. And somebody commented that I was too crazy. Like, he was following me, but like, this got too crazy. And I'm like, peace, deuces. Because if you can't follow it, it's not a big deal. It's a lot. But because everything is recursive and folds back on itself, I piece it all together. I map it. Humans found it. They made the observation of 48 dimensions in the photon, which means there are 48 dimensions where light exists. And dimensions are separated by frequency. And humans made the observation of the 48 dimensions in the photon. So there are 48 dimensions where humans have evolved into. And they've evolved into other things. And this is where I lost people. Pleiadians, other aliens. That's what we've evolved into. How do I know? Because other people have already created them. They wouldn't exist if we hadn't created them. So people say they're Pleiadians, or they're from the planet Sirius, or the constellation Sirius, or all this stuff. And they're remembering other parts of them existing. They're pulling information from the quantum unified field because everything exists in the quantum unified field. They wouldn't be able to imagine it, think it, or produce it if it wasn't possible. You cannot pull existence from non-existence. It's already there in the quantum field, created for you to take hold of. So as we evolved into other things. And why wouldn't we? Is it that far of a stretch to say we evolved from humans in a less than type 1 civilization into a Pleiadian humanoid species that's advanced? Why is that a stretch? If you just went back 100 years ago, we were driving in a horse-drawn buggy. And if you had told people that you would be able to watch something on television, they would have called you a witch. They would have thought it was magic. If you created fire for a caveman who'd never seen it before, he would evolve immediately, right then. He would know how to make fire, and then he would build on that. So science builds on itself, reality builds on itself, and things in nature evolve. Humans have evolved just in the last 100 years. So why would you think it would be a stretch that we evolved into something else? I saw like a gray alien interview where this alien is talking about how they evolved into the gray aliens because they stopped eating food, and so their bodies changed, and now they come back here into this dimension so that they can get what they need to procreate for their dimension, because they no longer have reproduction in their society. Let me map this out for you, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so let's just say that that's true. How could it be true? Why would it be true? And how would that happen? Well, I encourage you to go Google the birth rate that we have now. So if you look at what's trending, nobody's having kids anymore. We stopped creating tonsils. Kids are being born without tonsils. Why? Because we remove them. People are being born without appendix because we remove them. People are being born without gallbladders because we remove them. As you evolve, if you are not using it anymore, it will go away. People are being born without wisdom teeth. Your brain, when it doesn't use the neural pathways, it gets rid of them. Your brain, if you do not stimulate it, starts to atrophy. So, it's not a stretch. And when I look at all this data and I look at all these interviews and I look at all these things, I can see how every evolution took place. It's very obvious. You can just look at it from what's happening. You can see they're building robots, they're building skin, they're building body parts. And Neuralink is already working in people. So, open up your mind and start looking at the patterns. Look at how nature evolves. Look at the new species they're finding all the time. They evolved from a species before that, and they look completely different. So, and you're like, oh, but we're not species of the ocean. We're not species, we're not insects. But we are, honey. We're all in the same petri dish. So, a little side action for you. And you can call me crazy, but like I always say, just don't call me Shirley. And that's tonight's episode. I actually enjoyed that one. I mean, not that I don't enjoy the other ones, but this one was juicy. I love me some science. And I love explaining it. So, I wasn't going to do one tonight. I was feeling pretty low on the keister there. But then I decided to go ahead and do it because I hate not following through. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I mean, I may have my arm cut off and my leg cut off, but god damn it, you're going to get a friggin' podcast because I said so. Anyway. I will see you next week. Have a good night.